Hello, 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 and welcome back to another exciting episode of Nothing Zilch. We're your host, Xavier Dean.
And Jacob Green.
And this week, not only do I have a new hairstyle, but Jake is picking our topic. Jake, what is our topic for this week?
I decided, I want, my co-hosts to have some fun. I saw this idea pop up the other day on Scott the Waz's second channel called Scott Stash, where that's more of a free-for-all sort of deal. And he and Jack Films tried to guess movie scores on the website Rotten Tomatoes. So we all know that whenever a new movie comes out, there's going to be the critics rating and the audience rating, Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, Metacritic, other fan sites. You get the whole gist. Um, but it's interesting, especially if it's a movie that you are particularly knowledgeable about. Maybe it's one that you favor, maybe it's one that you really hate. Um, so we decided that for today, as this is a very easy, malleable topic to come back to, both me and Xavier have picked five different movies. So that's like 10 in total. And we're going to go back and forth. And the whole thing is we're going to be guessing the audience and critic rating of said movie. I figured that this would also be a fun way to talk about certain movies too, if we're knowledgeable about them, you know, as a way to get our opinions of our movies, even though we've done stuff like top 10 favorite movies before.
Hmm.
Um, but how this is going to work is uh, we're going to be guessing both the audience and the critic rating, which Rotten Tomatoes has both. And whoever is the closest to either of those scores gets a point. So, for example, if I get close to the audience score, but Xavier gets close to the critic score, then both of us would get a point. And if we end up being exactly right, or I don't know, close to right by 10 or something, then that's 2 points.
All right, so are we saying two different numbers, one for audience, one for critics, or are we just gonna stick with one number for both?
Uh, two different numbers for the two different groups.
Two different numbers for two different groups. Okay. All right. Now, here's the
Hello?
problem when it comes to me doing this.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Xavier?
All right, we'll be back in a little bit.
Xavier?
Hello, everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulties again. We're gonna be figuring this out in no time. Before now, I'd say we'll just get in. Quick recap. We'll be saying two different numbers, one for audience, one for critics, and whoever's
Yep.
closer gets a point. And then you said if we're within how much, there's an extra
I
point?
want to say, I want to say 10. I want to say around the 10
Okay,
percent.
around 10%. We'll get an
Yeah.
extra point. But
Mm-hmm.
it, but the point only goes to whoever is closest to the number.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Uh,
Alrighty. So let's see. Again, we originally planned this out for like 5 or 10 different movies, but we're going to be sticking to five for each today. So, you know what? Let's talk about one of my favorite movies that I put on there. There's a reason I did put it on there. It's a Disney movie. It is Atlantis: The Lost Empire, which,
Okay.
if you've seen our top 10 favorite movies, this is one of my favorite Disney movies. Yes, I will die on this hill. But um, there's a reason I put it on here though, because despite me very much enjoying the movie, my family enjoying the movie, and still recalling jokes to this day, not everyone feels the same way because this was in an era of Disney where uh, they were kind of in a decline when it comes to their animated movies. Because in what was it, 1993 was when Toy Story would come out and would introduce like 3D animation into their movies. Um, and Pixar was kind of at the time in like the 90s, and well, maybe not the 90s, because even in the 90s, Disney was still uh, making great 2D animated movies that were acclaimed smash hits. Um, but their later ones, which include the likes of like Atlantis and Treasure Planet, and I think Princess and the Frog, um, but they were just kind of getting into that decline in the early 2000s, and the same with other companies too. Um, But DreamWorks primarily worked in like 3D animated movies, and so did Pixar. Um, yeah. So I want to say from my end, when it comes to Atlantis, I say critics. I say critics would probably be at 73%.
Okay.
Because I would think the critics would have a much better uh, fair judgment of the movie than the audience, because I just think about what one general audience members would be thinking at that time. And for the audience members, I want to say 48% for audiences. Because it's
Okay.
not, because Atlantis isn't viewed as one of those movies where it's like, oh, this is like one of the worst Disney movies, or this is one of the worst like 2D animated movies. This is not Titan AE.
Yeah.
This is this is just now that's not to say that the movie isn't given high appraisal nowadays. I think it's given a lot of great praise now. But back then, uh yeah. So
Hmm.
Xavier, what do you think
All right.
the
So,
odds are at?
all right. So for me personally, I feel like I like where Jake's head is, but I feel like it would be reversed. I feel like critics, although the movie is a little more enjoyable, I feel like the critics score is going to be lower because of how it did. Meanwhile, I feel like audience score would be higher, partially because when it comes to Rotten Tomatoes, for the audience score, they go based on not just when the movie was released, but
Mhm.
as time goes on. And I know Atlantis has gotten a big cult following. So I
Yeah.
think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say the critic rating, I'm gonna go 80. I'm gonna go
Okay.
80% for the critics rating. Oh wait, no, scratch that. Scratch that.
I was
So,
gonna say that's close to the score that I have.
sorry, that was like opposite of what I just said. Um, I'm gonna go 54 for the critics rating.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 80 for the audience.
Okay. So, um, now we're gonna see where Everything lies. Atlantis, the Lost Empire.
Hmm.
Oh, geez. Uh, okay. So full disclosure, I've not really used Rotten Tomatoes much before. So I found the movie. Where exactly would the audience and critic
So
ratings?
you would press the movie and then scroll down a little bit, and there should be a little tomato meter that says audience and critics.
Oh, let's see. Um, let's see.
So again, you go to search bar, search up your movie,
Yeah,
and when you get
yeah.
to the
I'm already on the movie page.
okay,
I'm just trying to see, uh, because like I scroll down, do I go to reviews
no,
or,
you wouldn't go to reviews.
okay.
No, it
Uh,
should be right up top.
oh, right up on top, like next to where the cover of the movie is at?
Yeah, it would be right next to it.
Okay, so is the splat the critics rating
Yep, that
and
would
the
be the critics rating.
okay, so I was there the entire time. Okay, because they're labeled differently.
Hmm.
Because like you got the tomato meter and the popcorn meter. Okay, that makes more sense now. See, this is why I have Xavier on because again, okay, so this is actually very interesting.
Hmm.
So the critic rating is 48% and the audience rating is 55%.
Hmm.
So let's see. Uh, so that would mean Xavier was close uh, to not the audience, the critic rating, and but I was closer to uh, the audience rating.
Hmm.
So let's see. But with the 10-point difference, because so you're off by the critic ratings by 6,
Hmm.
and I was off of the audience rating by 7. So that means that both of us get 2 points.
Woohoo!
That's a very interesting start. I wasn't expecting the audience and the critic rating to be so close. But then again,
Hmm.
it kind of makes sense.
Right.
When I think about it. But you were kind of right on the money when you said that that the critics rating would be lower than the audience rating.
Hmm. Yeah, like I said, when it comes to like especially websites like Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, they're gonna go based on a collective rather than just individual reviews. So even if we were the ones saying, "Oh, we like this movie," we gotta go off what the general population goes. Generally, critically, it didn't do well,
Which
but
is why,
audience, again, it's been getting a cult following, so it
yeah,
would be getting better reviews as time goes on.
yeah. Okay. Uh, Xavier, it's your turn. What movie are you gonna choose?
All right, so I figured I would pick a movie that I know both of us have seen,
Okay.
and I figured why not throw out the movie that kind of started a tradition for us.
Mhm.
So for those of you who don't know, for the past however many years, Jake and I would go to see see the nearest or go to our movie theaters, watch the latest summer Marvel movie or summer superhero movie in general.
Spider-Man Brand New Day coming out at the end of July.
Yep. So we've got I know the past couple of years we've seen Fantastic Four, we've seen Thor: Love and Thunder, and we've seen Deadpool and Wolverine. But to my earliest recollection, the first movie we saw wasn't even in summer. It was in the winter. It was February. So I
Hmm.
figured, why don't we talk about Captain Marvel?
You know, that was one I debated on putting on there, but I chose a different Marvel movie.
Ah.
But we might get to that one. All
Hmm.
right. So why'd you pick Captain Marvel?
Well, two separate reasons. First one, it's something that I know we've seen. I know it's something that both of us have a good knowledge on. The
Hmm.
second one is I don't know, I don't know the difference between the percentages, but I also know that there was a big controversy with this movie and its ratings because there was a situation where one rating was so much lower because people would put in false ratings. I just don't remember which side it is. So I figured this would be an interesting way to try to guess which side people would lean towards.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember. I remember when we went to see Captain Marvel. We literally ran to the movie theater.
Yes, we did.
But we ran. We ran from our houses to the other side of town, and we went to go see the movie there. Um, I remember liking Captain Marvel fine enough. Um, I think what makes a movie sour to rewatch nowadays is the fact that Captain Marvel passed her own movie. Like in Endgame, she doesn't really do much, and it's such a
Hmm.
low blow because you would think she would have something important going on, considering the fact that, and full disclosure, we'll probably be spoiling a lot of these movies when we talk about them, but she has her own post-credit scene with the Avengers at the end of that movie.
Hmm.
Like the wasted potential, wasted potential.
Yeah. I don't know.
Also
What's that?
also Blockbuster. I remember they had Blockbuster in that movie.
Hmm. I don't know. I'm still a firm believer that what they should have done with the movie is have it where the post-credit scene is her receiving the pager, turning around, and then turning to dust. To give the audience false hope that, hey, Captain Marvel's gonna come and save the day, and then, oh, well, now what's gonna happen?
That's a character assassination right there. That's
Why,
also
thank you.
that's all that also makes it I don't know. I think that what made the movie way worse. Um, because then it's just like, okay, what was the point of watching this movie then? Well, I mean, there are other great factors about that movie. The fact that we get to see Nick Fury as a
Hmm.
younger, inexperienced guy. I always like that type of story recollection with a well-developed character. So I think that's fun.
Right.
Um, so. So what are you thinking about audience and critic ratings?
I feel like audience rate, or not audience, critics rating would be fairly neutral. Yes, Captain Marvel has its problems, but I feel like when it comes to the critics, they're gonna be basing it off of a small point system. I feel
Mhm.
like it would have gotten a little more of a neutral. So I'm gonna go off of the number 72. I feel like 72 for critics. I know the average movie is about 66, 67%. So I figured going a little higher would be sufficient. As for audience rating, because I think the audience side was where Captain Marvel got a lot of those fake reviews before the movie even came out.
That I hate when people do this for the record, not with just movies, just with any type of media in general. It's just like because there are just those people that are trying to just like get attention, and it's
Hmm.
annoying.
Yeah. Like Like you can still hate it, but at the very least, wait until it's out to hate it. That way you can have a valid reason.
Yeah,
So I feel like audience-wise, it's a little lower. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say 42.
42.
I'm gonna say
Okay.
42.
Okay. So here's what I think,
Mm,
because, this is something I didn't take into consideration because, you were saying how Atlantis nowadays, um, views of the movie have kind of changed and
mhm.
in terms of the audience. And because of that, the scores have like shifted slightly. Um, Now, granted, that movie came out in like 25 years ago. Man, that's a weird thing to say now. Came out 25 years ago.
Man, we're old.
Yeah, we're old.
I mean, I'm
We're
24, so I'm not that old.
I'm 25. We were born 2001.
Yeah, you're an old man.
Shut up. You'll get there. But this movie only came out like 7 years ago, but seeing how there's been a bunch of Marvel movies that have come out since then, MCU movies specifically. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other Marvel stuff, but seeing how there is also the Marvels and then Miss Marvel, um,
Hmm.
I say things might have changed slightly because of that. Because like, when a movie first starts to come out, it's a debate of whether your view of that movie will change or not, for the better or
Right.
for the worse.
Hmm.
And it's always been a debate about that. I think I think that applies more for those Marvel movies that are not as highly praised or bashed on as like, say Endgame or Infinity War or any of those higher Marvel movies or some of the most low rated Marvel movies. I can't think of any Marvel movies that are like that lowly rated. I think at best they're mediocre.
I know. I know the MCU didn't have too many. I feel like some of the newer ones are a lot lower rated. But I also knew up until I want to say up until maybe Eternals, the two lowest ratings were from Thor: The Dark World and The Incredible Hulk, which were 66% and 67% respectively.
Yeah, the Thor Dark World was such a nothing movie to me. It had a few good scenes, but like that was it.
Hmm.
Uh, but I say for the critic ratings, because do critic ratings change slightly too, the same way that audience members do, or
I don't
is it
think
just
the
a one or
I don't think the critics ratings changed that much.
okay? Well, let's see, because I'm gonna go for critic ratings. Because again, I don't think Captain Marvel is like a bad movie. I think on its own, I think it's a pretty good movie. Um, so I wanna say around hmm, I'll give it a 78.
You're going to do 78.
I'm gonna do 78 because you know I say at that time there were some expectations going in that like okay, some of the stuff is going to be paid off at Endgame, which most of it really doesn't.
Hmm.
Um, but audience ratings, though, hmm, I don't think it would be that low of a rating
Hmm.
because I'm not thinking more in the 30s. Um, so I want to say give it. I'm gonna give it a 53.
You're gonna give it a 53?
Yes.
All right.
Um, because like I don't think Captain Marvel, like there are some people that really like to bash on Captain Marvel, and I'm just thinking to myself, y'all, there are way more mediocre Marvel movies. Because like I think if we rewatch it nowadays, I think it would unlock some fond memories for both of us, and I think for some people it does too. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, with that being said, let us find where Captain Marvel is
Mm-hmm.
at. Oh, oh, this is interesting.
Oh no.
Uh,
What do we have?
79% for the critics and a 45 for the audience members.
Ah, man.
Okay, so this is interesting because we were kind of, you know what? Um, let's see.
So it looks like you were only one away from the critics rating, and I was
Yeah,
three away from the audience rating.
yeah. So I'll give you I'll give myself the critics rating for 2 points, and I'll give you the audience rating for 2 points
All
because
right.
you're both of us were way closer to our numbers. This is
Mm-hmm.
interesting. This is interesting. Um, yeah, I didn't honestly, with the critics rating being that close to an 80, that's kind of, I don't know. It's probably not that surprising, but like it's so interesting to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think with critics, they're much harsher with movies
Well,
than most.
it's not necessarily that they're much harsher. It's more there's less critics to audience ratings. So the
Yeah,
margin,
that is true. I didn't
so
take that into consideration.
yeah, so the margin when it comes to the critics rating is going to be based on fewer variables. So let's say movie gets five critics ratings and we have, you know, those, four of them have pretty stellar, like maybe 100% ratings. Four people say it is the best movie. But then you've got that one who's like, no, zero, worst movie ever. Guess where that percentage goes?
Hmm. Probably to the critics.
Well, I mean, it's all critics, but if you have
Hmm.
five critics, four of them say it's a great movie, 100%, and one of them says, no, it's the worst movie, 0%, that 100% total that it would have gotten from those first four now goes down
Hmm.
to 80% because of that fifth guy.
Yeah.
It's all about averages. So you'll have
Yeah.
some people who will say it's a great movie, some people who say it's a horrible movie, and then some that are in the middle. And because of those people in the middle, it causes, well, because of how the extremes are with the middle, it causes enough of a shift where you have that little discrepancy. Meanwhile, again, with audiences, it's a little more because of the sample size, the number tends to line up a little more average wise. Not to
Hmm.
say it's great average wise, but it tends to line up more.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Mhm.
Uh, That's kind of the same applicable thing for games too, because it's like you got those people that really enjoy a game, but then that one person that like really bumps it down, and it's like I kind of want to do a similar thing for games in the future to guess critic ratings for that.
Hmm.
But we'll see. Okay, so the next movie I want to pick out, I picked this one specifically because I know you have some maybe not discrepancies with that movie, but you definitely have a different opinion of it than I do. But it's the Lego Movie 2.
Oh.
So, um, I know for me, the Lego Movie is in like my top 10 favorite movies. I like all
Hmm.
four Lego movies, period. The ones that were under Warner Brothers. Um,
Hmm.
Lego Movie, I think that's like perfect movie. I obviously didn't want to pick that one because I know it would be a much higher thing.
Yeah.
Lego Batman, I know is a very highly rated movie as well. Not
Hmm.
only is it a big love letter to it's another Lego movie, but like it's a big love letter to the Batman franchise as a whole.
Yes.
Um, and that's great. A Lego Ninjago movie, I know that one doesn't have the highest ratings, because a lot of people were just kind of like, oh, they're just trying to sell their dumb toys now. But I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah.
That's a big fan of the Ninjago franchise. Of course, Ninjago fans, a lot of them didn't like it because it's like, oh, it's not based on like the TV series, and I'm like, I'm kind of glad they didn't because with you base it off of a TV series that some people haven't seen, uh, you have to like catch them up a little bit. Having it take place in its own separate universe just makes more sense, and I like it that way.
Hmm.
Lego Movie 2, though, which came out in 2019.
Hmm.
Um, of course, it is a sequel to the original Lego movie, features some of the same characters and kind of picks up directly after where the first movie ended on that like cliffhanger ending, which I do really like.
Hmm.
I like the whole story concept of uh, some people are bright and cheery, and then others are just kind of like dark and brooding.
Hmm.
Um, and I like some of the other story elements that are present to it. Of course, I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's as highly rated. For me, it's like tops the first Lego movie just on
Hmm.
experience and just time of place alone. But for what it is, I think it's a solid movie.
Hmm.
Um, but I say for my end, um, I say I say critics would judge this movie pretty highly, despite it being like the fourth Lego movie. Of
Hmm.
course, like I wouldn't it would be as highly rated as the first one because first one was just like huge. This is the first time anyone has ever attempted something like this to that scale with Lego pieces. So I want to say uh I say critics would probably be at like an 83. Because I think they would judge it highly compared to the Lego Ninjago movie, which that's probably the lowest of all the Lego movies. Although we could check that. We could check that as we get through the Lego movie too. And then for
Hmm.
audiences is kind of tricky. Um, because I kind of do see some people, and by some people I mean Xavier,
Hmm.
no, enjoying this movie as much as the first one or some of the other Lego movies. But I do think it'd be slightly higher. So I want to say for the audience, I'll give it a 68.
You're being very generous with this one. All right. So I'm struggling with this one because I've got my own personal biases with this one, and I'm trying to go off of wisdom of the crowd, basically.
Mhm.
I feel like I feel like it's reversed, Jake. I feel like the critics would have judged this a little more harshly because of how the other Lego movies go. Because you're judging it not only based on the movie itself, you're judging it off of the people who were in it, the people who made it, the people who directed it, the story behind it. Because the Lego movie had a great story. Its story being this sort of Matrix style, you are the chosen one, you are supposed to save the world from destruction, but the whole idea behind the whole idea behind it is everyone's special. Everyone is the chosen one. And it's nice, it's heartwarming. As much as the second one is trying to go off of friendship and how despite your differences you can go together, I feel like it takes the wrong way. I also know with some discrepancies, movies that tend to, or movies with sequels tend to get rated harsher because of this. So I'm going to say for the critics rating, I think I'm going to go with the 66% for critics.
Okay. Okay.
I'm going to go lower. I don't think they would have rated it too harshly, but I feel like it would have gone down. And as for audience, I'm going to give the audience a 73. I feel like audience rating would have been higher because it is still a Lego movie. Kids probably still found it enjoyable. Parents may have still liked it because it distracted the kids. So, yeah,
Okay.
66% and then 73%.
Alrighty. Oh, oh no. Um,
We must be way off.
uh,
I'm going to take so much
not
pride if we're
exactly.
way off. Oh, no. Ah,
Man, I was
boo. No,
only.
should not have
Oh,
gotten that.
that's what I was thinking though, because it's just like, you know, again, I think it's still a good movie because, you know, say what you want about story, but like, art style is still pretty good. They tried some new things with it. Um, yeah. Um, Now, what does that mean? Does that mean I would
That means you'd get 4
because
points because you were only one off on both of them.
yeah, damn. The We were tied before. Now I'm like
Yeah, now you've taken a resounding lead.
no,
You
yeah,
have
now I'm
doubled your points, Jake.
yeah. All right,
This is
maybe
rigged.
we
This is
could
a movie you picked. This is rigged. All
I
right.
was thinking it was gonna be I was thinking it was gonna be more divisive, but like I'm honestly kind of surprised.
It should
Um
have been more divisive. Okay,
yeah.
so I guess since it's my turn, I feel like we should probably go with a movie that I know a lot of people have seen. So I'm gonna say we should go off of the Harry Potter movies. Specifically, let's go off the Order of the Phoenix.
My mom makes these book paintings based off of bricks, and she's just starting her one on Order of the Phoenix. She's
Oh
done
man,
quite a bit. Like she's done the first one. She's done. I think she did either the Goblet of Fire or Half-Blood Prince. Um, and I think I'll have to check back with her. But they look really good. But she's doing Order of the Phoenix, which that cover for the book, great.
Hmm.
I know, to my knowledge, when it comes to Order of the Phoenix, because I've not seen it as much as the other Harry Potter movies. I think Half-Blood Prince is like the other one, probably the one I've seen the least.
Mm.
Um, I know when people talk about Order of the Phoenix, they kind of talk about it as like, oh, this is the most normal Harry Potter movie, which I'm not sure what that means, considering the fact that we're 5 books in at this point.
Basically, I feel like what they're trying to say is whereas the other Harry Potters focus more on the magic side, the whimsy side, this one takes a more grounded, sort of, again, normal viewpoint, because we got that Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher who's like, nah, we shouldn't be focusing on magic. We should be focusing on test scores.
Yeah, yeah. This is the movie that focuses on Umbridge,
Hmm.
and I know this is interesting because one of the people that talk about this movie or the books is that like, oh, I really don't like Umbridge, and that's the point.
Hmm.
I think you're not meant to really like Umbridge, and if you did, I'd be really concerned.
Yeah,
Um,
Umbridge is the one thing that everyone can agree on. But
yeah.
anyway, the reason I picked this one is because I believe this is critically one of the worst, like, you know, Harry Potter movies. Not going off of the Fantastic Beasts, just going off of the Harry Potter movies themselves
Yeah.
because of the general feel.
Mhm.
With
So
that,
where do you
hmm?
Oh, I was just gonna ask where you the critics and audience lie.
So with all that being said, it's still Harry Potter. I know the entire Harry Potter franchise has been known to be one of the better franchises. I don't think any of them critically would have gotten too low. I feel like I feel like it would be safe to say 81 for the critics for this one. Again, it
Mm,
may be the lowest rated one, but I think the Harry Potter movies stayed within the 95 to 85 range. 81 is my margin of error for that. As for audiences, I think it's going to be very similar. Um, I'm going to go down a little more with it. I'm going to say maybe a 78 for audiences.
mm,
I feel like audiences wouldn't like it as much because of how normal it feels compared to all the other ones. But I still feel like because it's Harry Potter, because of the amount of work that's put in by everyone in that set, and
mhm,
because it arguably has one of the most tragic deaths in all the Harry Potter movies, with the exception of Deathly Hallows Part 1,
mhm.
I feel like it would still be fairly close.
Yeah, this is interesting for me because again, I've not really rewatched any of the Harry Potter movies as of recently. Partly because I've not read the books yet, and I want to really try and get reading on the books because I feel like, those are going to be better to base on and compared to like the movies. This has always been interesting about the Harry Potter series because you got those people that got started on the movies and really liked them, and then you got the people that have read the books, uh,
Hmm.
and it's a debate of whether they really like those movies or not. But generally speaking, I think most people still prefer the books over the movies.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, that's
even if
most books to movies in general.
yeah, that is generally true. I mean, there are other examples of that. But I just think with Harry Potter, it's like it's just a very present topic, especially since it's one of the most popular franchises out there.
Hmm.
Despite some of the controversies that it's had in recent years. Um, so I say, hmm, you know, they're still like good movies at the end of the day. I don't think their production is like terrible or anything, or their scene direction. Um, I think what makes those movies pretty good to see is you get to see the progression of like the child actors
Hmm.
go from like when they're young as kids and then they slowly become full-fledged adults, they become better actors over time.
Right.
So I want to say, I say for critics, I'm going to say the opposite. I think critics is going to be a 78. And then for audiences, because like it's still Harry Potter.
Hmm.
I'll give it I'll give it an 85.
85. All right.
I feel like audience members would still have a better time with those movies because I mean, with your audience members, you got the people who do critic stuff on YouTube, and
Hmm.
then you got those people that are just like your average moviegoers. They're just here to to just have a good time. And yes.
All right.
Oh, um,
What's up?
this is a little bit interesting. Critics rating
Ah.
78, and the audience is an 81.
All right. So you've got the critics on the dot, Jake.
Yeah, and then
And then for audience, because we're both fairly close. I know.
I'm gonna give you the point
You can give me the point. All right, because
because you're closer than I was.
yeah.
I was just off by well, I was off by 4 and you were off by 3.
No, Jake, you want to know how off I was? I should have flipped my numbers around.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too.
That's
Again, it's so interesting.
well, again,
Um,
I it was either this one or Goblet of Fire that would have been the worst rated Harry Potter movies, but all the Harry Potter movies were still highly rated because of the amount of impact they have
mhm,
and because of the style of production, the amount of work that's put into it.
mhm. Okay, so Xavier gets some points, but I'm
Yep,
still in the lead.
yep, you're still leading by 4. I think we're doing really well with at least staying within 10.
Mhm. Okay, so the next one I picked this one solely by the fact, you know, we were just talking about I think we were talking about Star Wars at some point. But I
Hmm.
picked a Star Wars movie. It's not the most recent one
Okay.
because I've not seen it and I'm not sure if I want to see it. But But it's not any of the mainline movies either, because I feel like it would be a little bit too easy for us to um, take
Are
a
you
gander at it.
are you going off the best of the non-mainstream or non-mainline Star Wars movies?
I picked Solo.
Oh, dang it, Jake.
I picked Solo because that's the one that I've seen. I was debating between this one and Rogue One. Um, but I picked Solo because, well, for a couple of reasons. One, I don't know what the critic rave for. Oh, you've seen Solo though, right? I'm pretty sure you've seen it.
I've seen I saw Solo, I want to say 3 times in theaters.
Damn, I've only seen it once. But it's also was like the first Star Wars movie to come out, because there were two that came out in 2019. There was Solo, which I think came out in May, and then Rise of Skywalker came out in like what
December.
December? December, yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. That was a crazy year for Star Wars. That was a crazy year for Disney too, because like, Toy Story 4 came out that year and uh yeah, there was a whole bunch of stuff going on there. But I picked this one for a couple of reasons. One, I've seen it.
Hmm.
Um, I do remember enjoying the movie. I do need to rewatch the Star Wars movies at some point. But I picked this one because I feel like compared to Rogue One, I feel like this one's a little bit divisive.
Hmm.
Um, because you either got people that really love the movie, that they think it was a pretty cool, like Star Wars story, um, focusing on like one of the main characters in his younger days, and how he became the person he was before A New Hope. But then you got those people that are just like, oh, this is such a boring movie, which is like I feel like a lot of people say that for a lot of like Star Wars projects nowadays. It's just like, oh, this is so boring. And the reasons as to why could be numerous.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, there's still some of us that are upset that they decided to change the future instead of going off of the original books.
yeah, well, I've not read those original books.
They're pretty good.
Again,
They're pretty good.
yeah, I think, I think that for the critics, again, this is interesting.
Mhm.
Uh, because I'm not sure. You probably have better knowledge than I do of like which of the two Star Wars stories is much better rated, Rogue
Mhm.
One or Solo. But I hear much more praise about Rogue One despite it having its own issues.
Right.
Um, I say critics. I say it would be fairly high.
Hmm.
Not like extremely high, but fairly high. Um, I say I say about an 82 makes sense for critics.
Okay.
For the audience, though, I think there's been enough people coming out of the woodwork nowadays that like they don't really care about this movie. Um, I'll give it a 74.
You're gonna give it a 74.
Mhm.
All right.
So, so what are your thoughts about the movie, Xavier? Because I don't think we talked much about Solo.
All right. So, unlike the Harry Potter movies, where a lot of people tend to agree on the higher end, Star Wars is very like ranging on their rankings. With Solo, I would say Solo was a lot lower than 82 and 74. for critics, they're going to be looking at as as well as the movie itself, but they're going to be looking at production. They're going to be looking at what all was put into the production of it. And
Mhm.
Solo was one of those movies that was juggling, different directors. Uh, I think the script was changed while they were still filming.
Well, I didn't know about that, but that doesn't surprise me given the issues with like the sequel trilogy.
Hmm. Yeah. And a lot of people were kind of upset with how different the lead actor was to Harrison Ford's original Han Solo. They took varying liberties on how everything is. They tried cramming so much into one movie. Because of that, I would feel like the audience rating would drop down. I'm not going to say too far. I think I'm going to go with a 54 respectfully. I feel
For
like,
audience?
what's that? For
For
critics.
audience? Oh, for
Critics.
critics.
For critics. I feel like audiences would also be on the lower end. I feel like a lot lower than that because Star Wars tends to be one of those franchises
Hmm.
with a toxic fan base.
Yeah, yeah, that is true.
Because I don't think it's too low, but I'm gonna go with 40 48. We'll go 48 for audiences.
Yeah, well, you better be right about this because, like, um,
Yeah, you are ahead of me. I need to start picking it up.
okay. Oh, Solo came out in 2018. I thought it came out in 2019. Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, um, this is interesting.
Okay, either
So
it is straight down the middle or one of us is completely right.
it's straight down the middle, but
Straight down.
it's
Ah, nice.
69 and 63.
Oh
That
shit.
makes sense. That makes sense. So
All right, so
I say let's see.
well, hold on.
So
So audience or for critics ratings, I am only 15 away. You, if we were to go down,
I was 17 away. So you got the point right there.
yeah, but that one's
Um
just 1 point because we're only.
that's our those are our first one pointers right there.
Yep. And then
Wow.
for audiences, that's you. You've got that one because I went
Yeah.
way lower.
Yeah. That's interesting. Uh but that definitely makes sense.
Did I go way lower? Hold on, because I only went six lower.
Let's see. So you were 15. You were off by 15, and I was off by 11. So yeah, I
Okay,
got
yeah,
that
yep.
point. I got
All
that
right,
point right there.
you were so close to 2 points there, Jake, but you weren't. But like,
Okay.
but like I said, with the critics, you have to look at all aspects of the movie, not just enjoyability.
Hmm.
Audiences tend to focus more on biases. All right, so now moving on, we are halfway through,
Hmm.
and I figured why not go with something a little recent. Not sure if I'm not sure if both of us have seen it, but I feel like one of the biggest things nowadays has been movies that have been turned into musicals. When we've seen stuff like that. We've seen it in Wicked or musicals turned into movies. So like we've seen it in Wicked, we've seen it with Dear Evan Hansen.
Hmm.
And I
We've
feel
seen in
like
sound music.
what's that?
We've seen it in Sound of Music.
seen it in Sound of Music, we've seen it in Les Mis. I feel like one of the I feel like one of the bigger ones that sort of kick-started this new era of uh musicals getting turned into movies is West Side Story. Specifically I want to say it was 2021 when that one came out.
Okay. So this is one of those ones I'm actually not that familiar with the original material. If anything, I know more for the music than
Hmm.
anything because West Side Story was composed by Leonard Bernstein, uh, who is one of the most fantastic composers and conductors from the 20th century. Probably one of the greatest musical philosophers, I want to say. Very
Right.
knowledgeable. But in terms of the actual story, I have no idea.
Basically, it's a retelling of Romeo and Juliet that takes place in I want to say it's like the early 1900s. You've got your two separate sides fighting each other. You've got this forbidden love. Except for at the end of the movie, both people don't die. It's only the guy who dies. The girl gets to live on.
Okay. So what did you think? What do you think about that movie?
So I feel like that movie got a lot got a lot of good praise for it because it's really hard to make a good rendition of a musical movie. I feel it. I mean, just take Cats for example.
I've not
Exactly.
seen I've not seen that movie, but like I've seen the trailers, and I was just kind of like, "Ugh." And I've
Hmm.
seen the original Cats musical,
Right.
in like Peoria,
Hmm.
years ago, and I like the musical. That movie though, with its freaking CGI cats, it's
Right. So,
no.
mm, but the other thing I'm going to factor in for this is how close would audience and critics rating be for this? Because I feel like both the audience and critics would equally enjoy this one. I'm going to say for the critics rating, I'm going to go with an 83%. And then audience rating, I'm going to go with a 70. We'll do 77%. Not to say
Yeah,
that I think that audiences might like this less, but I feel like there's going to be those people who are like, hey, this isn't like the original musical.
that makes sense. I'll say I've got no knowledge about this movie, but I'll say I will say I don't besides discovering like the soundtrack from that movie um
Mhm.
a couple of years ago, I'm not I don't hear a lot of people talk about this one. I'm not sure it's just because I'm not in like the discourse when it comes to like the general opinion of musical adapted movies.
Mhm.
Um, but like it's weird because Wicked came both parts for Wicked came out like in the span of like 2 years. Um, or I guess maybe a single year.
Yeah, I was
But
thinking it was a single year.
it was a single year. But both of those movies I think went pretty well. I definitely don't hear that many people talk about it. Um, about those movies. Despite them, I think people mostly enjoy them.
I know there was a lot of talk when the first Wicked came out. I
Mhm.
I think it's definitely died down since the sequel.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I think both of those movies went well. But I'll say Uh, I'll do an 88 for the critics. And for audiences, I will give it a 72.
72. All right.
Again, not sure. If I happen to get this, that'll be tragic.
Yeah, it's already tragic. I'm known as the movie guy, and you're kicking my hiney.
Oh, oh, this is interesting.
Oh no, it's tragic.
No, a 91 for critics and a 93 for audiences.
Oh, I was too low.
We were both low, but you
Yeah, but
were you were definitely closer than I was.
you were closer to the audience rating. I was closer to the critics rating. But I only got
So
1 point for the critics. You got 2 points for the audience.
yeah, that's interesting.
And you are extending your lead, and that's kind of upsetting me.
Hmm. This is probably something I didn't think about too, because there are those movies that will always get talked about, and because of that, the reviewer scores get updated.
Hmm.
If there are high appraisal movies, and I guess the opposite is true for like those worst movies, if they don't get talked about as frequently, then those review scores won't get updated as frequently.
Hmm. That is true. Well, actually, with how these websites work, they update it as you review them on the website. So even if there isn't as much talk about them, if someone goes, watches it, and wants to talk about how they think, if they've gone through enough or they have their own account between, Rotten Tomatoes or I know for me, I use IMDb a lot when it comes to that. You go, you put in your ranking, and you explain why. And
Hmm.
again, depending on how few or how many, it can affect the watchability.
Okay. Um, so I'm thinking about this because I want to continue this, but I would like to continue this, but I feel like for time's sake, could we just do one more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
Okay. So, hmm, how do I want to go out? Because I've talked about these. Hmm. I say,
The price of your war's not a price that you're willing to pay.
um, okay. So this is a movie I know I've seen. Uh, but I don't know if you've seen it. And I picked this one because I've got some very strong opinions about it. This was the last movie that I saw before movie theaters closed down for a bit during COVID.
Hmm.
But I remember this is the last movie I saw in theaters before we couldn't go to the movie theaters for a while. But it's Call of the Wild from 2020, based off of the Jack
Oh,
book.
I I have not seen that one yet. I've
I
been wanting
hate
to.
I hate it.
You hate it.
Yes, I hate it. I'll tell you why I hate it. Because I read the book before I saw
Hmm.
the movie. I believe I read it my junior year of high school. And it's one of the most greatest stories out there. So for those of you that don't know, Call of the Wild is based around a dog.
Hmm.
Who doesn't like a good dog? Except this dog, he was like this pampered dog who's rich, well fed, but then uh, but then he gets kidnapped by some buyers, gets sold off, uh, and then over time just becomes much more gruffer and tougher, less your household pet and more akin to a wolf. Uh,
Right.
and he goes through trials and experiences. He becomes a sled dog at one point. And he also uh, is taken care of by this guy that ends up getting killed off in the book, protecting the dog, and the
Hmm.
dog protecting him. Uh, and it's a really great story. Um, the movie adaptation, which the main actor for, well, first of all, the dog is CGI, which is no. And but it's still got real like people in there, which makes it a little bit uncanny for
Hmm.
me. But the main actor for that movie was Harrison Ford, who plays the main guy that is of the owners that the dog has. He's the best one of like the after he gets kidnapped, he's the better of the owners because he actually takes care of the dog, despite the conditions that both of them are in. Um, the
Hmm.
thing I don't like about this movie is the fact that uh, it makes the dog like unrealistically big, even though he's not described to be like this big like bear dog. Um, and it kind of takes away from that point of the movie. And they made this dog in the movie like it had like soup the supernatural strength. There's also stuff that happens in the movie that straight up does not happen in the book.
Hmm.
Um, and for me, like it's a case by case basis, but it's just one of those things where like Call of the Wild is supposed to be grounded in its realism, and this movie does not feel like that. So for me, I'll give Call of the Wild for critics. Because like if they're gonna be basing this off of production, because the movie doesn't look bad by any means,
Right.
but because the dog is like the main thing in the movie and how it's kind of enhanced by CGI, I'll give it a 63 for critics. And for audiences, I'll actually go lower for this one because I don't think because I feel like people that have not read the book and don't know what Call of the Wild is are
Hmm.
not really going to care for it. But people like me that have read the book are also probably not going to care about it because they change aspects of the story that take away from the message. So because of that, I will give the audience rating. You know what? I'll go low for this one. I'll go 38.
You're gonna go 38 for this one.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So this is where I haven't seen the movie. So I'm gonna base it partially off of what you said, and partially off of what I know. So around 2020, which you said is when the movie came out, right? 2019, 2020?
It was 2020 because this was
2020.
like it was at least 1 or 2 weeks before the COVID shutdowns.
All right. So around that time, that is when movies started facing a general decline in quality. I mean, I feel like it just went way out of proportion during COVID when no one could really go out and do things, but I feel like a general quality was going down.
Yeah.
And, with it being a book adaptation, there's bound to be people who are going to judge it based on the book. But again, you have to factor that the critics have to look at it in a non-biased standpoint. I don't know, Jake. Because I don't know enough of the movie, I'm going to go off of the 66. I'm going to go off 66% for the critics, just because I don't know enough about the movie. I know out of all the movies I've seen, when I've taken the average, it's around 66 around the average, so I feel like Call of the Wild would be somewhere around there. As
Okay.
as for audiences, and this is where
Mhm.
you're gonna hate me, I'm gonna go the
Mhm.
reverse way. I'm gonna bring it up higher because of recency. So the reason why they probably use a CGI dog instead of a real life dog is due to the harsh climates and the situations that the dog is provided, which would end up, if they used a real dog, it would end up going against some sort of nature laws. You know how at the end of certain movies with animals, they have to mark no animal was harmed during the making of this film?
Mhm.
Well, that's because animals have protective rights, just like people and children do when they're making a movie. So I would say, depending on how hard it is, or not hard, how harsh it is
Mhm.
to record with the animal, it would depend on if they can actually use the actual animal or CGI. Because a lot of companies would rather use a real life animal so that they don't have to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars to
Mhm.
to make a computer generated one. And actors would enjoy it more too because of that. Basically, where am I going at this? There's bound to be a lot of animal lovers who will watch the movie and at least appreciate the fact that they didn't put an animal in harm's way. The second thing you got to factor in is star power, which, I mean, we've had movies or we were talking about movies that have major star power. Lego Movie Part 2 has Chris Pratt. Sorry, wrong Chris. Has Chris Pratt. Harry Potter has Daniel Radcliffe. All those. But when you factor those guys in, they don't compare to Harrison Ford.
Yeah, Harrison Ford is the one that keeps getting milked at the most.
Keeps what?
Yeah, he keeps getting milked at the most.
Well, it's because Harrison Ford is such a good actor. And he is, just the amount of star power he has. You're bound to get people to like the movie just because he's in it. And then again, the whole book to movie adaptation. Generally, books and movies tend to have their discrepancies. You mentioned them. However, if I remember correctly, Call of the Wild wasn't one of those book to movie adaptations, at least not that I saw, that deviated enough for such a harsh backlash. So because of that, I'm gonna say it's higher. I'm gonna go with an 84. I'm gonna say 84% for audiences.
Yeah. And you said for critics it was
66.
80. Oh, 66.
66 for
Okay.
critics, 84 for audiences.
Okay. Let's see where this is at.
All right.
Oh, oh, the, okay. Okay. So
Oh.
So I was right on the money
You were right on the money.
with the critic score, but the audience score though, bro, bro. Oh man,
Like I said,
I disagree with that completely.
see, you may disagree, but never underestimate animal rights and never underestimate Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I guess.
Besides, there's a lot worse book to movie adaptations.
I guess you're right. There isn't any that come off the top of my head currently.
Um,
I'm looking at critic reviews. Yeah, this movie kind of meanders. I agree with that. I'm curious. This is my first time actually
looking at the reviews. Hmm.
yeah. There's little here. Amid the high-tech photorealistic animations that would satisfy London's concept of wild. Oh, I didn't realize that this was Fox Studio that made that movie. That's
Yeah.
interesting. In short, The Call of the Wild, a production of the defunct Fox Studio, is a failed attempt with the spirit, but without the magic of the best Disney films. I wouldn't consider this a Disney film, even if Fox is owned by Disney.
Hmm.
Let's see what audiences are saying. Man, look at all these fives.
Yep. Again, if you look at that first one, it says the way the story was told was excellent, and Harrison Ford was the best actor for the role.
Oh, here's a one-star review. Not much, way too slow and uneventful.
Hmm.
That doesn't give me much.
Yep.
Oh, here's one. It's entertaining, although I think the original was better. I will definitely agree with that. Uh, yeah. So again, I just wanted to kickstart this because much like the two truths and one lie, I think this is one that we can easily come back to because there are just so many different movies.
Yes.
Uh, so, uh, but this was fun.
Hmm.
I don't know how much Xavier had fun with it,
I
considering
had a
the
lot of fun with it. It gave me an
yeah,
opportunity to think about some of the movies that I've seen and at least one movie I haven't seen and think
yeah.
about how other people would view the film.
Hmm. Yeah, it's got me thinking too because there's some things that you have said that like I didn't take into consideration. Um, I mean, so I've won. I guess we'll call it the first round of like guessing
Yep.
critic scores because like
Yep.
I won by 15 and Xavier won by 10. Although I think you won in terms of having the best well-rounded guesses
Hmm.
in terms of what the critics and audience members think. Because again, movies aren't necessarily my expertise. I guess I would consider, I do consider myself a general enjoyer of movies, but um, I am very critical when it comes to like, especially in recent years of like some of the productions that goes into movies. My
Hmm.
expertise is more so on games because that's more of the field that I'm in, and in music because music has its own like critic related things too.
Right.
Um,
And I'm just a casual moviegoer and movie watcher. I mean, it's not like I know how many movies I've seen altogether. 2077. Sorry, allergies. Allergy season. No,
he keeps a whole record of all the movies that he's seen and hasn't seen.
not haven't seen. I've kept them or I've kept track of the movies I have seen. I have a list of movies that I should see. The Godfather movies are on that list. Sorry to those of you
Man,
who.
I still need to watch the Godfather movies because I downloaded like their soundtracks recently. Except I
Mm,
haven't. listened to the soundtracks yet. I know like a couple themes from those movies, but
So the funny thing was, I had downloaded the Godfather movies to watch on an airplane, and I just completely blanked out on it on a trip. It wasn't my most recent trip. It was a trip from a while ago. But I
yeah.
downloaded them and I'm like, I'm gonna watch them. And then instead I found out that the plane had their own uh little screen and I decided I'd watch that Better Man movie. I felt like that was more
Yeah.
enjoyable.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah. It makes me interested of what the critic ratings will be when Spider-Man: A Brand New Day finally comes out.
I feel like the critic ratings for Spider-Man Brand New Day are gonna be higher.
Oh no,
Because
I think so too. I will
yep.
say for the Tom Holland movies in particular, I have seen those ones come down a bit in recent years, in terms of like people being a little bit more critical. Not so much for Homecoming, but for uh what is it?
If
Far
you're
From Home and even No Way Home.
I thought No Way
I
Home
do think
was hold on, let me so I could have sworn that
oh
No Way Home was a fairly well rated film.
yeah, well I think so too, but again, I'm thinking more so for like audience members. But let me
I
actually
don't know. Audience for No Way Home says 97%.
hmm, yeah. Homecoming, it was like 92 and 87. Uh,
Yeah,
again,
so
I think it was,
audiences enjoyed the No Way Home better.
yeah, well,
Hmm.
oh, and Far From Home is rated fairly high too.
Yeah, I think the only Spider-Man movies that weren't rated that well were the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. I know the first two Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies are pretty good. I think Spider-Man 3 was a little lower, but I thought that one was still fairly high.
Yeah,
I
Spider.
know, was that?
Well, I was gonna say for Spider-Man 3, it's one of those movies. It's one of those movies where it's just like I uh hate. Well, not hate.
Mm, you loathe
I
with a
like it.
passion.
I like it. I think it's a fun movie just to goof around with. You know, just because of all the wacky. There's just so many memeable scenes from Spider-Man 3.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, in fact, I didn't tell you this. I was doing like have you seen my recent photos that I posted on Instagram of like my updated profile?
yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah. So the guy who did that photo shoot, who's another saxophone player, he's actually the second saxophonist that I know who's a great photographer. But uh when I was walking down the hall, he was straight up telling me that he's just like, in this angle, you look like Tobey Maguire.
Mm,
It's just like you're not the first person to say this.
yep, yep. So, studios, if you need a young Peter Parker from the Tobey Maguire universe, hit Jake up. He's got you. No. But with all that being said, I feel like now would be a good time to end the recording. I know
Yeah.
I've got to leave in a little bit so that I can go to
I
my
got a gig.
sister's graduation party. I'm sure Jake's got a busy, busy schedule today.
I got a gig.
He's got a gig. All right. But with that being said, I'm Xavier Dean.
Jacob Green.
And Jake, get ready to think about your entire knowledge of fictional characters. Because
Oh yeah.
next week, we're going to be drafting. What?
Wait. Video game characters or just fictional characters? Period.
Fictional characters, period. I was debating between video game and fictional, and I'm starting to lean a little more towards just fictional characters in general.
Okay.
All right, well, get ready because we're gonna start drafting soon. And I hope that everyone here has a wonderful night, wonderful week. We'll see you next week.